We're talking to Pastor Walker from the Hands of God Christian Church. And of course, he's talking about the Hands of God recovery ministry that is operated out of his church. And of course, Reverend Walker, before we finish today and during this last segment, let's give you an opportunity to continue to talk about incarceration, but in a real sense, talk to young people, the individuals who might get caught up in this whole fact of crime that will eventually lead to incarceration, because I think, as you've already indicated, that even though an individual might commit some crime and he serves his time, that it's still almost impossible for him to have a gainfully employed occupation. Right. And of course, I think that you are an excellent example of what can be done, and more than anything, we'd like for you to deal with it from that perspective.
Well, you know, the Bible says that my people perish for a lack of knowledge. And people always tell you, and I remember growing up, Dr. Haney, people say, well, what you don't know won't hurt you. But that's absolutely incorrect, because what you don't know can really mess you up. Not realizing, you know, that if I go out here and commit just a little petty crime and get convicted of that crime, and it's a felony, it's going to follow me for the rest of my life. It's going to affect me in my relationship. It's going to affect me in my job. It's going to affect me when I try to go to get in school. It's going to always be a spot on my record. It's going to always follow me. So I would say to the young people, to like my daddy used to always tell me, stop, slow down, study yourself, and think. You know, stop for a while and look at what's going on around you. See what the real picture is all about. What am I really looking at when I step out of my door and I see all my friends, they're out there slanging dope and they're doing that thing and they're running around, they got their music bumping loud and they're doing all this stuff and they're running around with their pants hanging off. What am I really seeing? What is this picture really showing me? I mean, is that a picture of freedom, or is that a picture of some form of slavery? You know, because I mean, I submit, Dr. Haney, that if we involve ourselves in that type of lifestyle, then what we are actually doing, we are enslaving ourselves, and we're actually penalizing ourselves and keeping ourselves away from mainstream society. You know, we say, well, okay, I can't do this and I can't do that, but at the same time, then we got our young people that are doing the things that would actually make what they're saying a reality. So if I put myself in a certain mode, first of all, I'm labeling myself. Then when the authorities are looking out up on who's doing what, then they're looking at me because I got my pants down. I've got my mouth loaded with gold, you know. I'm riding down the street, you know, in a car that's worth $200 with a $3,000, $4,000 sound system in, and I'm violating all the noise law. So they're looking at me. So I'm the one that they're going to target. I pass by in my suit, you pass by in your suit, but then his next guy, he passed by fitting that profile, then they're going to pass us by and they're going to stop this guy, and he may not even be doing nothing.
And that's what they mean by profiling.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. They're looking at us. You know, they're looking at us, and we have got to learn how. Young people have got to learn how to change your image. You've got to change the image that you have, because you can't expect people to treat you with respect when at the same time you treat yourself disrespectful. And I know a lot of people say, well, it's the style to walk around, you know, with your pants hanging off and all of that, but who created it, and what is the purpose of it? You know, all we have to do is just really sit down, young people, is just ask yourself questions. Because a lot of times we take things at face value and we never question why we do what we do. And therefore we end up caught up in that system, and then that system has certain things attached to it, and one of the things attached to it is incarceration. You know, when you're caught up in that, you do the things that's done, you know, in terms of selling drugs and stealing and gang banging and doing all of that stuff, and what's attached to all of that system right there is incarceration, mental institutions, all that stuff, drug addiction, everything is attached to that. So once you involve yourself in it, then you open yourself, you sit yourself in the middle of a circle of sorts, and allow each one of those veins to just come into whatever you are and wherever you sit. And so that's what I say to the young people, to remove yourself from that situation and get an understanding, get some knowledge, get some information, and stop listening to people that don't know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I'm reminded, Pastor Walker, that we did a show a long time ago with you and Brother Johnson.
Yes.
And I think that he had a program called Choices. And that's essentially what you're telling young people today, that they really have to make a choice themselves in terms of whether or not they're going to become involved in whatever, and et cetera, and the importance of it. Speak to the importance of education, why they ought to try to stay and become involved in the politics of this country, and et cetera.
Dr. Haney, because, and I've talked to people a lot of time, And because of that lack of desire to seek knowledge, you know, we miss out on the whole process. We need to be involved with what goes on in this country. I mean, people are complaining about what the senators, the Congress, the president, and everybody's doing, and then you ask the same individual, man, did you vote? And they'll say, no, I didn't vote. Well,